Tobacco giant Philip Morris is pushing for a smoke-free world. It wants more than 1 billion people to stop smoking or to switch to alternatives like electronic cigarettes if they don't quit. The US government says e-cigarettes, also known as vaping, increased 78% among high school students from 2017 to 2018. Although the long-term health effects are unclear, and Philip Morris has received heavy criticism over its campaign. But the strategy could be a financial lifeline to the company, with shares up around, let's have a look, around 30% or so this year. Moira Gilchrist is Director of Scientific Communications at Philip Morris, and she joins me now from New York. Moira, thank you very much for joining here on the show. Plenty for us to talk about. I was reading about your campaign, which is, I believe it's called Unsmoke, trying to get people to move away from smoking. How much more is this about diversifying, because nicotine devices are stealing market share from traditional cigarettes, let's say?
Well, thank you, first of all, Lisa, for having me on the show. So really, the Unsmoke campaign is a call to action, and it has 3 very simple messages. If you don't smoke, don't start. If you do smoke, quit. And if you don't quit, then change. And we're doing this campaign because there are better alternatives to continued smoking that exist today. And we believe that men and women who smoke around the world deserve access to them and also information about them.
How much, though, going back to my first question, Moira, how much of nicotine devices is stealing market share when it comes to traditional cigarettes? Is that how you've seen the market shift somewhat?
Well, we've been developing and assessing a range of smoke-free alternatives for way more than a decade. So we've anticipated this, and we've made a deliberate decision to transition and transform our entire business away from cigarettes. And this is something that we want to happen as quickly as possible.
Well, investors clearly like the strategy. The stock, I believe, was up roughly about 30%. And I hope you don't mind me asking, I say this with all due respect. Many viewers won't want a tobacco company lecturing them on health, especially when there have been alarming uptick, as we said in our introduction, of high school students hooked on smoking. So how do you pass on that message and really be trusted for it?
Well, let's be clear, these products are only for men and women who otherwise would continue to smoke. I mean, youth should not be using tobacco or nicotine products at all. And I think we're very clear about that. But no matter what you think about my company, no matter what you think about the tobacco industry, I think we can all agree that men and women who otherwise would continue to smoke actually deserve access to these products and deserve to be told about what they are and how different they are to continuing to smoke.
And these products you're talking about, the IQOS, correct me if I say IQOS? IQOS.
IQOS is one of them, yes.
Yes, which is an acronym for I Quit Ordinary Smoking. They
In
still
fact, no.
contain... No? Is that not correct?
No, that's
correct.
an apocryphal tale.
Go ahead. I was going to ask you, do they contain 95% or so more of fewer toxic compounds than cigarettes? Is that correct?
Well, our heated tobacco product, IQOS, we've done a lot of science over the last decade, and all of that science points in the direction that this is a better product than continuing to smoke cigarettes. And we believe that that's something that smokers should know about.
Right, but it still has toxic compounds.
Absolutely, it's not risk-free, and I think we're also clear about that. It's addictive, it contains nicotine, and that's why it's an adult product for men and women who already are smoking. But we do know that it's a better choice than continuing to use cigarettes.
And you've been very open here talking to me about that, saying this is for adults, this is not for teenagers, because your company recently had to halt a campaign because using a 21-year-old influencer. What lesson did you learn? Because the concern, of course, is that would appeal to teenagers, isn't it?
Well, the first thing, we have standards for marketing and sales of all of our products that go above and beyond what the law requires. But unfortunately, in this instance, we failed to meet our standards, and I'm not proud of that, and certainly the company is not proud of that. But I am proud of the immediate action that we took on the moment that we discovered that this had happened, and that was to suspend the entire program. And I think that shows our commitment to do things in a responsible way.
Moira, finally, looking at Philip Morris as a business, Do you believe its future is smoke-free? How do you see it? Is that the way it's going?
Absolutely, and we want that to happen as quickly as possible, and we're asking for a conversation to be had amongst smokers, amongst friends and family of smokers, amongst public health and regulators to define how can we make this happen as quickly as possible.